Okay, my magical friends. So, welcome everybody to this installment. And welcome. So, sometimes I can see your comments, sometimes I can't. Facebook likes to change its mind or its algorithms or whatever it is. So, let me see. Yeah, baby. Okay, so let me see something because let's see. Hi, everybody. So today's live. Okay. So sometimes I can see your comments. See, sometimes I can't. Hi from Denmark. Hi, Geet. Miss you. So today we're going to be talking about just do you have a good or a bad relationship with your body? And hello, Faruz. So it in a lot of ways and I've been talking about it with my team lately, and I didn't realize how much I take for granted the relationship I now have with my body. And it used to be a place where every day I'd wake up or I'd put on clothes or I'd want to hide or I'd look in the mirror and I'd start crying, or I'd go to get ready for an event or a party or a dinner, and I would spend an hour, sometimes 2 hours, trying to find an outfit that didn't make me feel fat. And at the end of the day, I'd fall in a pile of clothes in tears because I didn't like anything and I didn't like how I felt in my body. And fast forward to today, that isn't even in my world. I'm like exercising every day, but not to lose weight, not to change what my body looks like, but I'm exercising because I love to be outside. Right. And so I get outside and I climb up a mountain on my skis, or I go skiing down the mountain, or I ride my mountain bike, or I ride my road bike. And all of those things fuel my energy. And so, I have spoken to thousands of people all over the world, and they're always like, Katherine, how do I lose weight? How do I change my body? How do I do this? And the question that I'm always curious about is this idea of, well, what do you know? What does your body know? And so it's weird to talk about this concept, today's title of do you have a good or bad relationship with your body? Because most of us are like, well, it's just my body. What do you mean, do I have a good or bad relationship? But think about it. Your body is an entity, right? It's a thing, and it's attached to you and it's part of who you are, but it's not the whole story. And so a lot of people go, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, if you treated the person you were in relationship with the way you treat your body, would you still be in relationship? The answer for most people is no, right? And so, I've been fortunate enough for the last, 10 years to travel around the world. And one of my favorite things to do is work on a body or with a body. And so, whether it's a New York Times bestseller, or somebody just starting a business, or somebody who's been sick and trying to get well, or somebody who's in a career change or relationship change or life change, I've had the fortune of working with people from all walks of life. And it doesn't matter what the problem is. The thing is always the same, that there's something in the body that's trying to get their attention. And so when we're well, our body thrives, right? We're happy, we eat well, we laugh, we don't necessarily overeat. But when we get stressed out or compromised or depleted, then we sometimes don't make the best food choices, or we sometimes don't make the best lifestyle choices. Maybe we skip a workout, maybe we eat 10 pints of ice cream. I don't know. So the whole point is, when there is something wrong in your life, it usually shows up in your body. And so I'm always asking people, instead of looking outside of them for advice, so don't look outside of yourself for advice. Instead, what is your body communicating? So when you have trouble in your relationship, what do? You take some space, you might go for a walk, you might take a break, but you also eventually come back together and go, how do we resolve this? How do we communicate through this? How do we change this? And it's the same thing with the body. So the body, the only difference, hi Angel, the only difference with your body versus a relationship that you're in is that the body doesn't speak your native language. It speaks the native language of energy. So if you speak English and you're asking your body questions, it's not going to speak English back to you. It's going to tell you an energy. So when you're tired, your body speaks. When you have a pain in your back, your body speaks. When you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that something's wrong, that's your body trying to communicate with you that something is off. And you can either go, I got to figure this out on my own, or you can start to discover that your body has a language that communicates with you. It's just not in words. So when you're tired, that's its form of communication. When you see colors, that's its form of communication. When you get inspired and lit up and your imagination starts going, that's your body's way of communicating. When you get goosebumps, that's a communication. When you cross your arms after meeting someone and lean back, that's communication. When your body's like leaning forward and your cheeks get all rosy and blushed and maybe you get embarrassed, that's a form of communication. And so what happens is you start to pay attention to the forms of communication that your body's speaking with you. Does this make, are you guys resonating? Is this, yeah? So if those of you that are live and you actually have a question you want to ask about something you're trying to change in your life or your body, please feel free to ask live. And if this is resonating with you, you can type yes in the chat, right? Because it's true when we, like, imagine being in a relationship with somebody and the person you're in a relationship with is always barking orders at you. Do this, do that, don't do that. You're like, this isn't really a relationship. This is a dictatorship and I'm not having any fun, right? But if you are in relationship, what? The person that you're in relationship with goes, how can I contribute to you? What would you like to eat for dinner? Can I make you something? Right? And so there's this dialogue and exchange. And so guess what? When you want to change your body, what do? You start to ask questions. So would you guys like to have some questions like that I use on a daily basis to ask when I want to change something? Would that be helpful? So if that's helpful, type yes in the chat so I know I'm in the right direction. If it's not helpful, say no, so I know not to to go there with you. Oh my goodness, I adore you guys so much. You're so amazing. So if you'd like me to share some of my favorite questions, I am happy to share. And if you have a question, yeah. So that's a great question. So Angel says, my chest is tight. Is that due to stress? So here's what I would do. So you notice, right, that that question is looking for what's wrong, not a wrongness, right? You're like, hey, my chest is tight. I'd like to figure it out, right? So the questions that I would ask is, what is your chest trying to communicate? What is it trying to say to you? Right? So, is there something that you are restricting in your life? Is something tight, like, in your life? And so, yeah, Angel says, how do we ask? Well, that's a great question. And so instead of going, oh, I think it's tight because of stress. Now, it might be because of stress, but just because it's because of stress doesn't necessarily give you the reprieve, right? So whenever we're wanting to change something, we're looking for the reprieve. So what I mean by reprieve is if you're tight and you're like, oh my God, I'm tight because of stress, that's not necessarily going to change the tightness and it's probably not going to change the stress. But if you go, wow, where in my life do I feel constricted, right? That might give you the information that instead of, oh my gosh, it's tight because of stress, that answer isn't going to alleviate the stress, but what is my why or what, so sorry, um where in my life am I feeling constricted? Yeah, Angel says, yes, trying to move on. Okay, cool. So, do you notice, does that change your chest tightness like any degree? Hi, Tina, right? Does that change your chest tightness any degree? Right? And Angel says it's difficult to let go. Well, that is totally like explain, like that's okay. That's difficult to let go. So, but difficult to let go is a conclusion. How you change it is what's the easy way to let this go. So it's kind of like the analogy of saying you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And so if you're trying to move on but you're having a hard time moving on, whether it's you lost a job or you had a heartbreak or you lost a friend or you lost a parent or a loved one, like, don't force yourself to pretend it's okay when you actually feel, Barbara, nice to see you too. Don't force yourself to force yourself to move on if it doesn't feel light to move on. But what you can do is give yourself permission to grieve. Give yourself permission to feel the tightness, to feel the sadness, to feel the depression. And instead of pretending it's not there, ask what it needs, right? Like, what does your chest need? Unsure if I'm doing it right. Well, here's the good news is you can't, if you're truly asking a question, you can't get it wrong. Right? If you're truly asking a question, you cannot get it wrong because guess what? Every nanosecond of information opens the door for there to be reprieve. So if you are sitting with a tight chest, who or what is constricting you? I'm having a hard time letting go, is what you say, right? So cool. So what if you gave yourself permission to not let go today? So does that lighten up the tightness in your chest? Right. And this is the gift. Angel says, thank you. You're so welcome. And this is the gift of the body, you guys. We get information and we're like, we have to change it now. Sometimes the best medicine and the best remedy for where you are in the moment is to give yourself permission to be exactly where you are. Okay. So remember in the beginning of today's live, I said, and oh my gosh, I got to go soon, but I wanted to come on live. So I'm going to sort of wrap this up. But remember today in the beginning of the conversation, I talked about how I had had moments of spending hours trying to get ready for a party or going to dinner with my boyfriend or going to see my family. And I'd be like, in tears because nothing fit me and I didn't feel sexy. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel good enough. And so when those moments happen, the way that I started to change them is I was like, what if I didn't try to change where my body's at? What clothes would make me feel sexy right now? Right? So notice the question. A true question will light you up. A conclusion with a question mark will make you feel contracted. Yeah. So Angel says, give it time to show direction. Yeah. And sometimes the best medicine is a pint of ice cream, a glass of wine, your favorite movie, under the covers, snuggle with your favorite pillow and cry. Like sometimes the best remedy is just to give yourself permission. But here's the deal. I always had a timeline. I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm depressed. I'm going to give myself 24 hours to throw myself a pity party. I'm not going to stand in my pity party for 6 months. So, Angel, what would it be like if you gave yourself 24 hours permission to have a 24-hour pity party or 24-hour grieving party, a 24-hour I'm having a hard time letting go party? And if you give yourself permission, then guess what? The body can relax because you're not forcing it to do something it doesn't want to do. And then tomorrow you wake up and ask, what would you like to choose? What would your body like to choose? Is there a little bit more space? Do you feel a little bit better? So sometimes, my friends, we're here and we're expecting to go here, but we're not willing to take the first step, right? And so what you want to do is, if you're here, if you're grieving and you want to be here, give yourself permission to be here. And then the next day, do you feel any better? Like 1% better? That's a next step, right? So it's like taking a hike, one step at a time, climbing a mountain, one step at a time, riding your mountain bike up a mountain, one pedal at a time, right? And so instead of forcing yourself to be where you're not, give yourself permission to be where you are so you can take the next step, right? Is this, guys, helpful? So, on the theme of, is your relationship with your body good or bad? Do you have a good or a bad relationship with your body? There's no bad relationships, right? But there are ones that support you even more than before. So my invitation to you is to start to ask yourself some questions. So, body, what's bugging you? You can start to feel where in your body it is, right? But questions that sort of, and I kind of wanted to share with you guys a couple questions. So I'll give you a couple quick ones. So these are some questions that I ask, and they're really simple. Is, body, how much money do you want to play with today? What clothes would make you feel wealthy today? Right? And then what clothes would make you feel sexy? Right? And then, so a lot of people go, but Katherine, I don't know what my body wants to eat. And I'm like, well, give it a better question than, what do you want to eat? That's so generic. That's like being on a first date and somebody saying, what's your favorite color? You're like, really? You want to ask me what my favorite color is on a first date? Weird. But what if it was more like, ooh, hey, body, what foods would make you feel alive today? Ooh, what foods would bring you joy? What foods would make you feel healthy? What foods would make you feel wealthy? Do you see that those are really different questions? What foods would bring you more clients today? And so you can start to engage in your body in a whole new way. So Christina's saying, what about stomach fat? That's a great question. So what I would say is, are you hoarding your intuition? And is the stomach fat yours? Or are you holding on to somebody else's fat? Or are you hiding your own gut instincts? Are you hiding what you know? Are you hiding your intuition? But I always like to ask, if you wake up depressed, favorite question, and it's from the Tools of Access Consciousness, is this yours? Right? I like what is coming to my life. I'm afraid of hurt. Thank you. So I get what you say. Angel, you're so welcome. Thanks for asking. So if you're afraid of hurt, you're always going to attract hurt, right? So what if the fear of hurt, you can ask, is the fear of hurt mine? Fear and excitement are the exact same energy, because how exciting would it be to meet somebody that actually loves and adores you? Yeah. Okay. So Christina says, well, it's on me. I know, but here's the thing. A lot of people, and this is going to sound really weird, it's why I created the No Judgment Diet. A lot of people think that because it's their body pain, because it's the fat that they're carrying, that it must be theirs. But energetically, it might not be yours. So start asking. I know it sounds really weird, but it's sort of a revolutionary concept that will start to show you where you might be holding on to something that isn't actually yours. So, my friends, I gotta run. I could say so much more about this topic. Tomorrow night, I'm actually doing a 2-hour live and online class in Denver. So if you're somewhere in the world, you can join us online. Go to katherinemcintosh.com/live. And I'm gonna be doing a 2-hour taster on the body and on energy. And we're going to be exploring basic tools that that you can use to change your body, to change your relationships, to change your money flows, to change really anything in your life. Yes. So if you would like to come, you're invited. It's only 35 US dollars. We do have country pricing. So if you live in a different country, we do offer country pricing. So my friends, I gotta go. I adore you. Thank you for being here. If this inspired you, please leave a comment. If you'd like to share it with somebody that you think may be inspired by this conversation, please feel free to share it. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.